Sorry for the late uploads, being a day after Force Day, but happy belated Force Day to everyone watching. Now, Tales from the Empire was truly actually a really cool series. Again, if you saw the short, I was disappointed at the final episode. The way that they handled the conclusion to Barris's storyline was kind of not to give her one and transfer the, you know, whole duty of finishing your story arc to someone else. Episode 1, The Path of Fear, starts off in a battle we'd seen in Clone Wars, except we were following Ventress at the time, going back to Dathomir to see her Night Sisters. In this one, we follow a different Night Sister and her daughter. This ends up being a character that we have seen in multiple other projects, including The Mandalorian Season 2, as well as Ahsoka. This being Morgan Elsbeth, the Night Sister that ends up helping Thrawn, and is the one who actually gets everyone to the planet that Thrawn and Ezra were on in Ahsoka. During the battle, I have to make the complaint that the assassin droid noticing you're up in the trees was a little weird. Like, where did that come from? Like, it doesn't have force sensitivity. It doesn't have any of the tech involved, or else there would have been a lot of differences in the Clone Wars. I don't actually remember anything about the Mountain Clan from Dathomir, but later on in the episode where you see her unleash that ball of force or magic, to me it looks less like magic and more a Mountain Clan version of the Dathomir magic. If Morgan and her little group of people would have paid a little more attention and noticed that there was a ship in the background before entering, maybe finding the old Dathomiri weapons would have been a much bigger find. But instead, they just got kind of ambushed and never had a chance to prepare. The episode ends as the Mountain Elder's child is dying, one of the new friends of Morgan. She also died realizing that the Mountain Clan was correct and Morgan was wrong. So let's get into the next episode. Episode 2 was called The Path of Anger, and here we catch up above Coruscant and some of the big cruisers, where Morgan has now become a magistrate. We've seen her in a magistrate position in Mandalorian Season 2, but here we actually get to see that she's the originator of the Tri-Wing TIE Fighter, the thing that's normally associated with Thrawn, but it was her who originally came up with it. It's an interesting detail they added. I don't know if they retconned anything from the Legends or EU where they took this from, but hey, now this is the canon version, since they all shit on the legacy of Lucas by doing what they did to lose it all being canon. The Empire denying this multiple times, according to what they said, is just crazy to me. This literally could have been the single advantage that allowed the Empire to truly gain the lead in this war, instead of slowly declining like Thrawn had predicted. When Morgan moved her spear, we're reminded that it was the Beskar spear that eventually got handed to Din Djarin. But I had actually completely forgot about that, since it immediately gets made into other things, including the armor for Grogu. And towards the end of the episode, Thrawn shows up to recruit Morgan, and this was kind of an interesting little detail we never got to learn unless it was, as I said in the previous points, part of Legends or EU, but now this is the canon version, so it's interesting to see how those two met. Episode 3 was The Path of Hate. This has been a long time that we're now catching back up to. Morgan has gotten the whole town that she's in under to the point we come across it in Season 2 of Mandalorian. This leads me to believe it's very close in timing to this. Especially since the New Republic ship shows up with an emissary and multiple guards. But it's funny how they were made out to be so weak because they got taken out so easily. And there was a plan of having a, stress beacon, but by the time someone answered, Morgan had caught up and destroyed it. So that failed. Basically, we have now connected to the point where the next big event is Din Djarin showing up after Ahsoka becomes a problem for her. Episode 4 is called Devoted, and we open up in a jail cell with Barriss Offrey. This is someone that we've seen in the Clone Wars. She's the Jedi apprentice that Ahsoka became friends with and got captured in that ship in mid-seasons to later. But also, in the later seasons, was the one that was trying to attack the Jedi Council or their stockpile of information. I'm not sure which one it was. It's been a while since I've seen it, but she definitely was trying to blow some stuff up. The Grand Inquisitor from the Obi-Wan series makes his appearance. This obviously was meant to be used as a tactic to test him, telling him not to leave their quarters. And as we all know after seeing the episode, he should have probably listened to Barriss because he ended up getting killed. The hint, or the answer to whether he did or not, was in them throwing his blue kyber crystal, which was also the moment that we got verified that everyone that they brought there for this test was a Jedi. When we open up on the scene of the Grand Inquisitor starting to train/test Barriss, you notice all the freshly picked lightsabers from the dead Jedi sitting there, as well as during out the whole little combat situation. If you pay very close attention, this is classic Sith corrupting the Jedi tactic. I don't think Barriss was prepared for a duel to the death, especially against someone who was a fellow Jedi before all of this. But it was interesting how they decided to make it to where she wins with a force choke. That was probably not the most expected thing. Personally, I thought it was going to be a force push again, kind of calling back to her training with the Grand Inquisitor. But the episode ends as the Grand Inquisitor brings in his master, Darth Vader. And now, Barriss is a full-on Inquisitor. Episode 5 is called Realization. We open up on Barriss and Lynn traveling to a far distant planet on orders to go investigate potential Jedi. It wasn't long after they landed that Barriss started to realize that this may not be the path she was on, especially watching Lynn kill everyone there that knew about the Jedi. The lone Jedi was pretty skilled to be able to take out Lynn. At the same time, that shows how good Barriss actually was. But her agreeing to help him and then claiming to be Jedi right before she was being attacked by Lynn and just force pushes her straight off the cliff. I'll be honest, I thought she was dead. Episode 6 is called The Way Out. We've had another time skip. At this point, we're on some very snowy planet and we see a family walking through the snow. These little hedgehog-like creatures kind of pop out. Now, they're humanoid and they can speak, but I don't remember seeing them anywhere, so I'm just going to refer to them as the hedgehog people. They were seeking a healer, and this turns out to be Barriss. We can see that she's probably at least 15 to 20 years older, if not a lot more, but a lot of time has passed and the Empire hasn't fallen yet. Barriss sending her students off to go find a ship along with the family, knowing that the coordinates are already in the ship, only leaves me to be one person, especially with the reference to an old friend. I think these people are heading to go meet up with Ahsoka, which this would mean during the early times of the rebellion being formed, which we saw during Rebels. It would be Lynn that shows up as the Inquisitor to come handle this destiny and all and fate within Star Wars. But as I said, I thought she was dead, but Disney really has, and I can't argue this point, they've really become less fatal when it comes to the Jedi and Sith. The amount of people impaled by lightsabers or falling off of high cliffs, just managing to stay alive, is kind of shocking. Your anger makes you predictable. I loved it. Straight up a callback to the Inquisitor training her in episode 4, where he said, your hesitance is making you predictable. Lynn should have trusted Barriss when she said that she would not make it through there, and without her help would not make it out. She got lost almost instantly, started attacking the crystal walls out of anger, and it seemed to almost affect her when she first did it. This ultimately allowed the family and her students to get away. Barriss said, fear is not your enemy, but your master. That was like, good fucking line. Like, good job. I swear that has to have been said somewhere in Star Wars before. It's just too good not to have happened before. But immediately after that, she just appears out of nowhere and gets stabbed by Lynn. And it's like, did you just die a stupid death? Like, not because you were stupid, but because the writers went, oh, we don't have much time left in this episode. Kill her. Like, you couldn't have her have saved Lynn? You had to die to save Lynn? Like, that was pretty stupid. Overall, Morgan's story was awesome. Barriss's story was good for the majority of it. Just that last little bit kind of ruined it. especially since the last part of it really felt like it was lacking a conclusion to her story. Just kind of dismissed everything that she's gone through just to have her die to save Lynn from the dark side. It was very disappointing. Also, after looking through all of them, I would actually recommend a more chronological order if you're more of the connected universe fan like me. I'd watch episodes 1 and 2, then watch 4, 5, and 6, and then finish out with 3. Because if you notice the positions of the Empire, the Republic, and everything like that, you can tell the time order is pretty obvious. Well, I hope you liked the review of this. Hopefully they don't drop 6 episodes on me again. I'll be able to have it out in a more reasonable time. But, until next time. And I'll catch you later.